A draft resolution demanding an immediate end to the hostilities in Syria has been overwhelmingly voted for at the UN General Assembly. Russia and Syria were among those strongly opposing the document, which was the source of the hot-tempered discussion. Reporter Caleb Maupin explains.
Well, the resolution was passed. The vote was 122 to 13. The resolution called for an immediate cessation of hostilities and an end to all sieges in the country of Syria. Now, this resolution was passed at a time that the Syrian government is on the verge of retaking the city of Aleppo, and at the same time, Russia is negotiating the departure of the al-Nusra terrorists from the city. Now, Russia voted against this resolution, and Churkin took to the floor and said that Russia was voting against it essentially because it didn't include the terrorists in the call for a ceasefire, and that these terrorists are the very target of the operation. Let's take a listen to what he said.
The draft doesn't specify that the cessation of hostilities cannot include terrorists. The vital problem of separation between so-called moderate rebels and terrorists is not even mentioned. The resolution also doesn't take into account the current situation in and around Aleppo.
Now, while the resolution was being discussed, things got rather heated on the floor of the UN General Assembly. Very harsh words were exchanged between the representatives of the United Kingdom, the United States, and the representative Vitaly Churkin of the Russian Federation.
Only 3 members of this organization can bring an immediate end to the suffering and collective punishment: the Assad regime and their Russian and Iranian backers. They claim that they can't because they need to defeat terrorism. Really? Do they need to reduce Aleppo to rubble to defeat terrorism?
We, as members of this General Assembly, can remember our humanity by demanding right here that Russia and the Assad regime comply with their obligations under international humanitarian law, allow civilians, including the white helmets and other first responders, to leave eastern Aleppo peacefully.
Yesterday, the Syrian army suspended its offensive in eastern Aleppo to allow civilians to leave the city safely. According to the latest information we've got, 10,500 civilians have been evacuated. More than 4,000 of them are children.
Do they need to block humanitarian aid time after time to defeat terrorism?
Permit aid agencies finally to deliver medicine and food.
Regarding the humanitarian issue, we're providing assistance in different ways. Russia is sending a considerable amount of humanitarian aid to Syria. We're often working on this together with our foreign partners. We expect that others might follow our example. I'm talking especially about those who refuse to work with the Syrian government and spend all their energy on threats and accusations.
Now, previous resolutions that are very similar have been shot down at the UN Security Council. It's unclear exactly what impact today's vote will have on the situation on the ground in Syria as negotiations continue.